How's it going, everybody? You know who it is. My name is Sunwoo, and in this video I want to take you along and take a look at the Furthrrrr Generator and see how we can make most of this complex oscillator by combining it with SHUTTLE CONTROL, which is a very capable MIDI-to-CV converter that helps you to incorporate whichever MIDI controller or sequencer you already have at home, like the OPZ, into your eurorack setup and make it the brain of your eurorack setup by allowing you to convert MIDI data into all kinds of CV signals like gates, triggers, envelopes, and LFOs. Yeah, super capable, super customizable. You can also store multiple presets. But before we get more into that, let's get back to the Furthrrrr Generator. As I said, it's a complex oscillator, and what that means is that it actually combines two oscillators, one being the carrier, that's usually the one we listen to, and the modulator, which modulates the carrier. There are already pre-made connections for these modulations that you can switch on and off with these switches, and they can also cross-modulate each other, but because both of these oscillators have separate outputs, you can also listen to both of them at the same time and therefore make the most of this complex oscillator. So we're going to use them for melodic elements as well as trying to get some percussion out of them. So enough talking, let's patch things up. Let's take the sawtooth output of the modulator and plug it into the Ghost. There we got it. Doesn't sound so nice, so let's turn the Ghost to wet so we've got some reverb and delay on there. Okay. Open the filter a little. Now we've got a drone, but since that's pretty boring, let's plug something into the volt per octave so we can change the pitch of this oscillator. Here on output number 14 of SHUTTLE CONTROL, I've got a volt per octave output that I can control from track 6 of my sequencer. Wonderful. Let's take the reverb down for a second and enter a very simple sequence. And let it play. So great. Now we are playing our modulator. Now let's plug our carrier into the SQUAWK DIRTY filter, and then the SQUAWK DIRTY into our mixer. That doesn't sound too nice, does it? So let's close this for now. And let's plug something into the VCF-CV input so we can open it with a gate. And the gate is going to be coming from here, output number 8, which is controlled by track 8 of my sequencer. And as you can see, if I press a key here, this light flashes. And I can even select how this behaves, because I've selected CV output 8 to be an envelope, and that means I can control the length of the attack and the decay. So now I'm controlling the decay, making it longer or shorter, using MIDI-CC 73 and 72. So this is now here. And you can see, or hear, it opens this filter now. So let's also enter a sequence onto this track. This doesn't sound nice yet, because we're not actually controlling the pitch yet. So I gotta connect the pitch output of this track, which lives here, into the volt per octave. And now let's change the octave of this track. Now let's have a listen what happens if we flick some of these switches. Doesn't sound too bad. And now let's introduce some percussive elements. And I'm going to try to do that by using my drum tracks in the sequencer to output trigger signals, or little envelopes rather, because again I can control the decay time and the attack. And I'm going to attempt to create a kick drum. Let's make this a bit more quiet. And again, by changing the length of the decay, I can shape my kick drum. And now let's do the same thing for a hi-hat. Maybe let's make it faster. And we're just gonna find any parameter here that will make it somewhat sound like a hi-hat. So let's try this one. Yeah, that does work somewhat. Okay, and now let's try to look for a snare drum. Track 2 of my sequencer, and again on the 2 I'm gonna output the envelope. Maybe here. That does work. Let's try another one. That's better. So you can hear how just out of this one complex oscillator we are getting quite a lot of elements for beat going. And now let's use one more track to get one more percussive element. So that's number 4. Let's play a little with our melodic voice. Now let's add these outputs to it, which are outputting LFO signals that I can control with MIDI CCs again, you see, this LFO changes its tempo and it's synchronized to the beat as well. So let's plug that in somewhere. Maybe in the filter cutoff. Sounds good. Add some resonance. And again, I can change the speed. That sounds good to me. Okay, now I've got one more element here on output number 5. I've got this steady signal that I'm gonna plug into the sidechain input of the Ghost. So I can now duck this element. Let's change the intensity of the ducking. All right. So now we can play a little more with these elements, so I can change the envelopes. We can of course flick some switches. Sounds also pretty nice. I'm getting lost a little bit here, but that's always the way with modular for me. Track number 6 can also output an envelope, so let's get that going. And plug that into the VCA of Ghost. So easy to get lost. And of course, if we wanted to, we could also now cross-modulate. And you can hear that this leads to very different results than the usual method of making music where your drums are very separate from your melodic parts, but here it's all entwined and therefore, yeah, everything reacts to one another, which is very nice. Either way, I think this gives you an idea of how I like to use the Furthrrrr Generator and the shuttle control together. Definitely lots of fun to be had. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope to see you in the next one. Until then, have a wonderful time. Peace.